Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have my buddy who is in England right now, and it's currently what, 10:30 your time?
It is 10:30.
Well, here's my friend Chris who's willing to stay up so late. To me, 10:30 at night is late for me, but to some people they're just starting to, I don't know. But how you doing, buddy?
I'm very well, thank you, Jerry. How are you?
Good, good, good. Well, so I always start these off with how you became a fan. So I got to hear your story, how you became a Bon Jovi fan.
Well, 1986. I was 10.
Slippery.
That's it. You Give Love a Bad Name was on the radio. These were the days, obviously, when people actually listened to the radio to go and get the top 10 hits. And my sister, you've got my sister to blame for me to be in Bon Jovi. She had a poster of Richie Sambora above her bed. She was never really much of a John fan. She was more of a Richie fan. I don't know if that's something to do with the King of Swing. I'm not too sure, but there we go. That's a different conversation on a different way. But basically, she said, "You got to listen to this. You got to listen to it." And it was "You Give Love a Bad Name," and then, as you well know, shortly after "Living on a Prayer" was released, and then shortly after that, obviously, "You Want to Do It Lives" and "Never Say Goodbyes" and whatnot, and I was hooked. And for the UK, such powerful songs as "You Give Love a Bad Name," "Living on a Prayer," and so forth, it catapulted the album Slippery.
Yeah.
And for me, even though the anthem of "Living on a Prayer" is worldwide nowadays, and it takes on different meanings for different people in different situations. 9/11, for example, it just came this big. And Bon Jovi in the UK wasn't really much of a band. Slippery and Wet comes along, and then Bon Jovi suddenly becomes worldwide renowned.
Yeah, and it happened overnight like that. Insane. But it was great. Yeah. So, what's your favorite song overall?
Overall, to this very day, out of all of them, has to be "Wanted Dead or Alive."
Wanted, okay.
I love "Wanted," and you know what? I was on your Instagram actually for you just before coming on to it, and I saw your nice picture on there watching listening to "Slippery and Wet."
Did I?
You did.
Yeah.
On there,
the Japanese import.
That's it. And also, you had a written letter with the vinyl from John saying this album should have come with a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I couldn't have agreed with him anymore. I just think that album, Slippery and Wet, New Jersey, for me, is the pinnacle of what Bon Jovi is. I understand, obviously, they diversify over time. There's changes. I'm very well aware, but for me, that's my favorite part, my favorite period of Bon Jovi. That's what got me hooked. But what about you? How did you get into Bon Jovi?
What's that?
How did you get into Bon Jovi?
Well, I was an 8-year-old boy, this tall. You can't even see it because that's how tall. I'm just kidding. And I remember it was back in May 2000, June 2000. And I was a little boy sitting in front of the TV watching his cartoons, and I changed it to VH1. And as I did, I saw this guy, the It's My Life music video came on. And he was so determined to get to this Bon Jovi show. And I thought it was just so, as a kid, you're like, oh my god, like all these stunts he's doing just to get to see a band. And then they showed the band, like, man, these guys look really cool. And then the song was just so catchy. Every day, this is before internet, so you couldn't just go off and play the song. You had to wait until it was on the radio or on TV or the album. But the album wasn't out until later of June. And so every day I waited, and finally I got it on record tape, and I played over and over and over. And then Crush came out the first day, and I begged my parents for it. And I said, please, I gotta have it. And they're like, well, we'll see. Well, I went to summer day camp every day, and I came home, and there was Crush on my dresser, and I played. That was the only thing that I played all summer. My parents had enough of hearing Crush that they started buying me the other albums prior to 2000. Slippery debut, all those albums, and I just all started from it. Then One Wild Night was released a year later, then Bounce, and then just 22 years later, I'm still a diehard Bon Jovi fan, and I do my podcast here, and so, but yeah, that's it.
I was going to say, because obviously, I know obviously we follow each other on Instagram and everything else, and you kind of get a feel of a person, family based and everything else. I see things like your wife and yourself going to Bon Jovi shows and everything else. I have to ask, is your wife, a poor, oh, here he goes again buying more Bon Jovi stuff, or is she just into Bon Jovi just as much as you?
Well, you thought that I would drive my parents nuts playing Crush over and over. She's got to live with it, and she married it. But no, she is very supportive, and she goes to Bon Jovi events with me now. We do runaway tour trips together, and it's really nice to finally share those experiences with someone that I absolutely, it's great to do it with my Bon Jovi friends. Yeah, I love that. But it's also special to do it with her because then we have, like I have a picture of her and John together, and I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's supportive. She's not a big fan like me. Like she's got her few favorites, but she's not like she doesn't perk up when I play them. And she hears me play them every day. So what about your family?
Well, I've got two daughters. Their mum sadly passed away back in March.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, okay. So it's just me and my daughters that live together. We have they like Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
I think a bit like you, it's played a lot. So they know all the different songs, they know the words, But I did offer them to go down to Wembley Stadium back in 2019 on the This House Is Not For Sale tour, and they went, "No, you're all right. You're absolutely fine." And I thought, you know what? I thought I am not missing Wembley Stadium for anybody, And so I went down on my own. I caught the train, 2.5 hours down. I stood in that line. I spoke to fans. I got in that, and it was a fantastic experience to be there. Wembley Golden Circle, and what a concert it turned out to be. But in terms of that, obviously the 2020 tour, it didn't come out of America. It was just an American-based tour. But you went there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did three or four, three shows, I think. Yeah. And yeah, it was a great tour. Very short and sweet. Just as John said, just to test in the waters kind of thing, just to kind of get back out there, get the wheels in motion, and yeah. So well, let's get into our first topic. And I know that for everyone that's watching, Chris's Instagram username is Bon Jovi Collection, and he posts some cool. For people that know me, I am obviously a diehard Bon Jovi fan, but I'm also a huge collector of Bon Jovi merch. So I've been collecting for the last 22 years. I got an office full of stuff. I got stuff in my living room. I got stuff in totes. I got stuff in closets. I have a ton of stuff. And so Chris and I would kind of bond over what we have and stuff like that. So we thought we would talk about some of our favorite items in our collection. So I thought I have a top 3. And so I thought we'll go back and forth with one and one. And so since you're my guest, I'll let you introduce your absolute favorite item in the collection. Oh, look at that. Is that a Kramer?
There you go.
Okay, so I have this on YouTube and I have this on Apple Podcasts. So people that are listening on Apple Podcasts obviously can't see what you're holding up. It is a Kramer, a vintage Kramer guitar with the Bon Jovi New Jersey logo painted on their front. Man, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so basically, it got to the point where, as you well know yourself as a fellow collector, you collect the vinyls, you
Mhm.
collect the CDs, you have the odd T-shirt, and so forth.
Yep.
And then once in a blue moon, as you're looking at things, something comes up, and you go, "I must have that."
Yeah. Oh, I know the feeling. My
Uh,
wife knows the feeling.
I bet you do. And you know what? Every time that parcel comes to the door, it's you that has to get to that door first.
Yeah, and rush to open it and everything. Oh yeah, yeah.
Unless you,
My wife, she always goes, "Oh, here's another parcel. Would you order this?" You know, because you just, I always look every day on eBay, Mercari, Friends, and just I'm always looking, and most of the stuff I pretty much already have. But there's always something saying, "Hey, this looks cool. I'm gonna get," and it's always nice to add something to collect. Not that I need to, but. So, okay, so your first one's the guitar then?
What's yours, Jerry?
Okay, so my absolute favorite thing in my Bon Jovi collection, and with this one, I don't want to say collection because it sounds weird, but my absolute favorite thing that I have because of this band, and I know it's going to sound cheesy, but it's true, it is actually the friends that I've made through this band. With all the Bon Jovi fans that absolutely love this band as much as me, because growing up before social media and stuff, you know, I felt like alone being a Bon Jovi fan. And with how much I love the band, and then the backstage of John Bon Jovi fan club started, going to shows, and then social media, I was able to connect with other diehard fans who love the band just as much as me, and got what I felt. And it's amazing to go to shows with other Bon Jovi friends and being able to, for example, Nashville show back in April of this year. The last song was "I'll Be There for You," and it was emotional. And I remember I cried at the end of it because it was the way that John performed it and the way that we didn't know what the future of the band was at that time, and the way that John kind of left the stage. And it was an emotional performance. And I remember myself and other diehard fans, we had tears in our eyes when the house lights went on. And but yeah, I would absolutely say the friends that I've made because of this band, that is my absolute favorite thing. There's people from all over the world that I talk with every single day, whether it's about the band or just even my personal life. Some of the greatest people that I've met is through this fandom. So that's my absolute favorite thing in my, I don't want to use the word collection, but you get what I mean. Something that I've gotten from being a fan.
It's a funny thing that you should say, because with Bon Jovi collection, you do get that bond.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and it's that communication through the music of Bon Jovi,
Yeah,
and that brings people together. And like you rightly say, you get people from all around the world. And you get people going, "Oh, I know that they're in America, but when are they coming to the UK? When are they coming to Australia? When are they coming to Brazil?" And it's really nice, like you said, to be interacting with people. Yeah, and you are right, because you follow them, they follow you, and you get a feel of each other's lives.
yeah, it's great. And it makes you. It's one thing to be a fan of something of someone, but then to actually connect with other people who, like I said, get it, who love that band as much as you. And like you learn different reactions to different songs that people have. Like I may think of this song for this reason, but then they think of this song for that reason. It's nice to hear people's stories of how your favorite band's music has touched someone else's life.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's also like a certain song can take on a different meaning for you.
Yeah,
That same song could mean something different for them.
exactly.
It's that memories.
Yeah.
So I just think it's so powerful at times. It really is.
And just to leave off with this, the most perfect example I could use too is on Twitter. The thing I love doing every morning is I always, as soon as I wake up, I post the poll for the day. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but I post. Okay, so you know about my polls then. I'll put this and this song together, and then people will comment, "Well, I vote for this song because I love it because of this reason, or this song has touched my life because, and so it's kind of unique to see what song people would prefer and why. And just on Twitter itself, I love posting stuff about my favorite band because others will jump in and comment about this or comment, and we just have a great discussion. And I love being able, because my wife doesn't want to hear about Bon Jovi, my son doesn't want to hear about Bon Jovi, my colleagues don't want to hear about Bon Jovi, my neighbor don't want to hear about Bon Jovi. So the only people that will actually listen to me about Bon Jovi are my Bon Jovi friends. So, all right, buddy. So, all right. So your second favorite item in the collection.
Right. Okay. So I've done a little something here in preparation for today. So I'll just have to move this. I've actually done this.
Oh man.
So all this is literally like part of the collection. I mean, okay. But what I really do like, which I'm just going to put this back down here, is obviously, as we well know, Mr. Sambora. And what I also like is this here. So this is the aftermath of the Lowdown.
Oh yeah, I got that in a toast. I've been meaning to dig it out.
I love Richie. I love Richie.
I haven't seen that one in years actually, because I've had it stored away because I don't want it to get damaged.
That's it. And this is come out of storage, especially for today. And it's got the LPs.
Yep.
If you can see that. So for those viewers who are just listening audio, what I'm actually holding up here is the aftermath of the Lowdown. Best way to describe is LP book. And basically with this, it's got everything to do like with the history of the album, how it came about. It's got all the lyrics in there. It's got wonderful photographs of Richie Sambora, and obviously it's got the double LP at the back. And that is just something that I have to honestly go and say I treat myself to. Very special. Like I said, people can get the CD. But again, it's impossible to narrow it down to top three. But these things that I have here, is everything from box sets to albums. And as you well know, you can't just have one album of Crush, for example.
Nope.
No. You have about 7, 8 versions, 10 versions.
I got 19 versions. Mm-hmm. 19 versions, yeah.
And it's funny because you say 19 versions of Crush, but each one of them, to the outside world, they think you must be mad having 19 versions of the same album, but you're not. It's collectors, it's different tracks, it's different covers, it's different sleeves, it's different, and I'm addicted to that. I love that.
And this goes back to my point of us getting it. Like you and me, we get it, but my wife will be like, how many albums of Crush do you have to have? I'm like, you don't get it. I have the U.S. standard version, the French pressing, the Japanese, the special editions, the live track edition, just all is signed edition, and just all these different. It may not be. It might be around. It's around there. I know I have quite a few Crush editions, but I know I have them all. The UK edition, the remix edition, all those, and but you and I get it. It's like my CD collection is, I probably have over 300-400 albums. Just different editions, the actual albums, CD, DVD, all special editions, all that. But okay. So my second favorite, and I'll have to show it because I have this in a case and I don't want to get out of the case, but not to brag here, not to brag at all, but some of my favorite items I have are signed items. I love collecting signed items, and I probably have over 400 autographed items.
Wow.
Yeah, but what makes an autograph more special is having it personalized to you. And so for all these years, I've waited and waited to get a personalized autograph from not only John, but also I have one from Alec, and I have one from David. I think that's it. I don't think I have one from Richie. I don't think, but I know John, Alec, and David I have. But my absolute favorite, and I'll show it in the picture here, is this that I got last year.
Oh, the guitar.
Yeah. So it's a signed photo of John from Because We Can music video, and it says, "To Jerry, thank you for your friendship and loyalty." And then a signed 2020 album, "To Jerry, thanks for everything." And then a signed guitar, "To Jerry, blame it on the love of rock and roll." And he signed it.
That's brilliant.
So like I said, I have these all in cases, right? I didn't want to take it out. I don't want anything to ever happen, because that is like the holy treasure of my collection. And but like I said, just having something personalized to you makes that autograph more special. Like I said, I have over 400 autographs, and they're all special. I love each and every one of them. But having something signed to you by your favorite band, there's nothing better than that.
Definitely no. And the funny thing is I've never met Bon Jovi.
You will one day.
I'm hoping to one day. I'm really hoping Bon Jovi tour the UK again. I don't want 2020 to be the last hurrah sort of thing.
Yeah.
I really do want Bon Jovi to do a worldwide or a European leg. Like obviously as age creeps up, maybe it might be split into different areas. It might have more breaks in it. But as long as I get to meet them, I would absolutely love that. And I'm hoping Richie Sambora as well will tour on his new album, like he did with RSO. They came over. So I'm just hoping that we get to meet him as well.
Yeah. Well, the band's definitely not done yet.
Oh, definitely.
All right. So your third and last favorite item of the
What? I'm gonna struggle. I really am, because there's just so much here. What I'm just going to do is I'm going to grab. Where did I put it? Where did I put it, Jerry? I can't just put my hand on it right this very moment, but I will do. I promise you. Is the No Apologies CD single?
Oh, with the white background, the black heart and dagger.
Yeah,
I love that one too.
Yeah, I've got it here, but I will.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a rarity too, because that was only released, I think, in the UK and France, I think.
Yeah. So,
But
I'm after so many different things, on my wish list. And
what's your ultimate one? Not to interrupt you. What's your ultimate wish to have in your collection?
I've had quite a lot of them before, and then I've sold a few items, and then obviously as you look back in time, you kind of regret selling them,
Mm-hmm.
So if I really had to go and pick one thing, it would probably be I would like the long box version of "I'll Be There for You."
Oh yeah, I loved collecting all the long boxes. All the first 4 albums, "Keep the Faith" 2, and Richie's "Blaze of Glory." Yep.
Yeah, "Blaze of Glory" long box I would love.
Yeah, "Keep the Faith" was the last one that they did.
Yeah, so I've got what have I got here? I've got "Ballad of Youth" long box, the "Stranger in This Town" long box, the "Keep the Faith" long box. I've got the New Jersey long box. So I do have a few long boxes, but definitely "I'll Be There for You" and Blaze of Glory long boxes would be would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep my if I ever find anything like that, I'll send you the link. Okay.
Thank you. What about yourself, Jerry? What about your third?
My third, and I will show it. So my dad was very supportive of my Bon Jovi fanship, and he would make sure I got the albums on the first day. Both my parents did, both my parents. But my dad would take me to shows to see them. I remember he would travel far wherever I wanted to go to see, reasonably. But I'll stop being around the bush here. My favorite item is my dad died in 2009.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the very last shows that we did were the Madison Square Garden shows in New York City on the Lost Highway tour, which concluded the tour.
Yep.
And so this was the very last. I have it framed because it's so special to me that I had it professionally framed. But it's a framed T-shirt, which these shirts are very rare because they were only sold at the Madison Square Garden shows. And I framed mine. And it was the very last T-shirt and the very last show that he ever got me before he died.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I look at this, one of my greatest things about one of my favorite memories with my dad is seeing how happy he was to see me so happy seeing my favorite band. And he wasn't the biggest Bon Jovi fan, but he still, let me play Bon Jovi in the car. He'd take me to shows or get me whatever merch I wanted as a kid. I was 16 at that show, and then my dad died when I was 17. But so I look at this framed T-shirt and just think about the wonderful memories I had, traveling 7-8 hours to New York City with him. And New York City is my favorite place in the world too. But just having that bond with him, and if I knew that was going to be the very last show, I would have taken a lot more. Not that I didn't, but really, really appreciated that day a lot more. So yeah, that's my favorite item and my third favorite item in the collection, and I have it framed and it's sitting here in my office. So.
And you know what, that I know you say about autographs and everything else, but nothing can replace that. That is just special.
Absolutely, yeah. It's I tear up sometimes looking at it and stuff, and I'm glad I have it. Another cool thing about this T-shirt too is we're so used to the heart and dagger, but New York City is nicknamed the Big Apple, and so they actually have an apple instead of the heart.
Oh yeah,
you see that? Yeah, so that's an apple. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
And then it has July 14th and July 15th, end of the road tour, New York, and I was so glad they put that show on DVD too, and so
that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But what do you see then for the future of Bon Jovi?
Okay, so that's our next topic. See, I get asked this a lot, and I talk about it a lot. What I personally think, 40 years is coming up next year, 40th anniversary. So next year is definitely going to be a huge year for the band. As far as future, I'll do it within a 5-10 year space, whatever. Tico's approaching 70 next year. The band's getting older. Obviously, we've seen and we've gotten so used to Bon Jovi touring nonstop, album tour, album tour, album tour. We have definitely seen, I hate to use the word, and I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to, decline, since, pretty much the What About Now tour. And that was cut short because of Richie. But, if you look at the This House tour, it was spread out in 3 years when really they could have done it within a year. But anyway, which is fine the way that they did it. I'm all for them slowing down and taking their breaks, whatever. But this house tour, we saw a decline of shows, not as many shows, and then you'd have a block, a leg here, and then months later another leg, and then months later another leg, and then obviously with this last tour, it was just a 15-date tour back in April, just to kind of test the waters. And but anyways, what I think is, I think we're going to keep seeing that because look, John has always said in an interview how much he's loved Torn, how much he's loved just being out on the road. I think that's changed. I still think he loves to perform, but if you watch interviews now, he doesn't like he admits he doesn't like to tour anymore, and that's okay. I think he's at the point in his life now where he just likes to be with his family and do his own thing, and that's okay. So what I think with the band now, I think especially with the pandemic, I think it's taught John a lot about really embracing family and stuff like that. So the next 10 years, I think we're going to see some maybe one or two more world tours, which will that I can see next year being a 40th anniversary tour.
Yeah.
And then maybe a year or two after that, a final tour with an album out. And I will not say that's going to be the end of the band. I don't think it's going to be what these other bands are doing where, okay, this is it, we're not going to do anything after this. I still think there's going to be, obviously the legacy is always going to live on, but there's still going to be a Bon Jovi after Torn. I think we're going to start seeing the end of Torn within the next 5 years, but I can still see residencies happening. I can see something like they did back in April where they just tour maybe once a year for 10 shows, which could be a residency. I still see them making new music. I still see them doing this or doing that. Runaway trips happening. John's got that work ethic that he's not going to slow down. I mean, obviously he's going to slow down, but he's not going to stop doing what he's doing. I think he's going to still do stuff. I'd personally love another solo album from John.
Yeah.
But you look at Tico at approaching 70. I don't think he's going to want. I mean, and he's still a hell of a drummer. Watching back in April, I mean, he still drums like he's 20. He's incredible. So to conclude, what I'm trying to say is, I think we're going to start seeing the end of touring, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the band. I still see residencies happening. I can still see a block of shows happening. Maybe a new album here or there, or just some new music overall. But what's your opinion?
I actually agree with you. Obviously, with the 40th anniversary that's coming along, I watched an interview where they were saying 100 million fans can't be wrong. There will be something along that lines, being released maybe next year to go and celebrate the 40th anniversary. So like
John has. I'm sorry to interrupt. John has said that. John did say last year that we were going to be getting a new box set next year. And then they're going to also do a pop-up museum with artifacts in the history of Bon Jovi and stuff like that. So that'll be exciting.
I think that would be great because I think as Bon Jovi fans, we like them. Well, we don't like. We love their music. We love them. You know. And let's be honest, I think with the sad passing of Alec John Such recently, even though we expect humans to obviously pass away, Alec was the first of the Bon Jovi family.
Yeah.
I think that hit us all. I think it hit us all hard, to be honest with you. Sure. I think I remember reading it for the first time, and obviously straight away you're looking at album covers, you're looking at inserts, you're looking at Alec. Think, crikey, and like you say about Tico, with the ages becoming and John with the pandemic, coming close and whatnot. So I think next year, I think you will see the box set. Obviously, with the box set for me, things like Edge of a Broken Heart, Borderline, things like that. That was with New Jersey, Slippery era, those sort of things being released later on, and on singles.
And if I don't mean to be rude, if I can interrupt you on that because I have a good point. Another thing that I would love to see from the band that you mentioned, how they did with New Jersey in 2014 with the Super Deluxe box set. They had a remastered version of the album, then the second disc was outtakes demos, and then the third disc was the videos and Access to All Areas DVD.
Yeah,
I would love for them to do every single album, and I'm surprised that they never did it for Slippery or for Crush.
I think it'll all be coming.
Yeah, I do too.
This is the one, obviously, that you're back. So obviously viewers who are watching this can then obviously see it, and that there is the back of what Jerry's talking about.
Yep.
But yeah, absolutely. You know, and like I have said this time and time again, you know, on these sort of things here, you know, where, you know, Slippery and Wet, you know, could be so much more. You know, all the albums, Crush could be so much more. And, you know, even though you've got the odd concert being released as well, you know, what I personally would love to see is I would love to see deluxe versions of every album like that, like New Jersey, being released, even from Bon Jovi, the debut album, right through to 2020 and onwards. And every one of them should have outtakes, should have the album, and it should have a live concert from that era.
Yeah.
And like magical.
Yeah, kind of like what Kiss did with their Kissology. You know, they could do something from each era. Okay, so one box set, you know, you get a massive box set with all four albums. You know, the albums have been remastered so many times. You know, really, that's not really a selling point anymore because we have. I mean, I have probably four remastered versions of each album, but you know, include outtakes, demos, photos, the band sitting there talking about their memories from the album. Um, you know, and DVD. You know, I'd like all the VHS tapes that they released back in the '80s to be put on DVD or Blu-ray. Now, here is the downfall for, you know, and you wonder how they're going to do this box set next year. People aren't buying music physically. You know, obviously, us as diehards, we're going to go buy the box set,
Definitely.
but majority of people are going to go get it on iTunes. So I think there'll still be a digital version that'll be a selling point, you know, with outtakes and stuff from the last 40 years. But you wonder what they're going to do physically because fans like you and me, and I know a ton of others that would still buy it. You know, we're probably talking thousands at least will buy it. You know, and I'd be willing to pay a pretty penny for it. But I'm talking, and they could do like a pre-order. So people who order, you know, they can get a final number so they know how many to make in production. But I'm talking a massive, humongous box set. I mean, it's something that's so heavy that you can't, you know, that's what I want. I know that's asking a lot. I don't think we're gonna get that. But you know, that's the problem that we're in now. You know, I just said that, you know, I want all, you know, the breakout VHS, the Slippery and Wet VHS, New Jersey VHS, Access already to get put on DVD, but an Eating Out with Bon Jovi, Live from London, Crush Tour, This Stuff Feels Right, Madison Square Garden, the Greatest Hits videos, Inside Out. I want all of those to be put on like a Blu-ray box set, you know? Especially the older, you know, the recent ones that I've mentioned are obviously on DVD.
Mm.
But I love Blu-ray, I love 4K. So I love to have that audio and video on those formats.
Yeah, it's an interesting point as well. What you bring on there is about what is the selling point. You know, because obviously, you know, for me, you know, what intrigues you might turn me off, and vice versa. You know, I want something new. I want something that's not been released before. You know, and that's what really gets my blood boiling. You know, where I really want, where I want to really put my hand in my pocket and spend money. You know, and that is, you know, where, yeah, I would love nothing more than a Slippery and Wet, or especially a New Jersey concert to be released. You know, from and like you say, a bit like Access All Areas. Access All Areas for me is just brilliant, absolutely. You know, you see all behind the scenes, what it's like to run a band, all the rehearsals, you know, the actual shows. You see them absolutely shattered on the tour bus, you know, as they're going through a humongous world tour. You know, that's what I loved about Access All Areas. And if you can have something like that for all the albums, you know,
Yeah.
to me, that'd just be magical.
Well, and the thing is too, is if they have been going through the archives, for the JBJ Experience fan club and for the Sirius XM channel. They're releasing all these, most of it's been heard by us diehards, but some of the stuff has, okay, I can see it being, audio remastered, blah, blah, blah. But they have been going through the archives, so some of the stuff is going to be on the box set next year. My thing is, as much as I love the 2004 box set, I truly did love that. They couldn't do a repeat of that because I think it's too. Back in 2004, a lot of people would buy that, but nowadays you need something massive to really sell it. Obviously, I'm going to buy whatever comes out, but like I said, I want something that's massive, something that's worth celebrating 40 years for, something massive, and obviously I want it signed, but so at the end of the day, what I want what would be perfect to me in a box set is outtakes. Not the same outtakes that we got back in 2004. We got those.
Yeah.
Let's do different outtakes from, every era, especially from Have a Nice Day up until 2020. And put those on there. Do a big collection set of all of the VHS and DVDs in the past and put them on Blu-ray. And then like interviews with the band. I'd love another documentary.
Absolutely.
Which that's another thing too that we're getting next year is a 4-part series of a Bon Jovi documentary. That's coming next year. Yeah. So that would be cool to add to the box set, which I think they just got done filming that. So there's still production time to get that into the box sets for next year. So that'd be cool if they did that.
So what do you think then, in terms of as they're winding down the touring, do you feel a certain return of a certain Mr. Sambora?
Honestly, I don't see it happen. What I do see, I can see Richie maybe doing a show or just a special segment here and there. I love Richie, and I'm going to support Richie on his solo stuff, and I respect that he's left the band. I love the new chapter of Bon Jovi, and I love the old chapter of Bon Jovi. I don't see Richie ever coming back.
No.
I don't see him. I think he's kind of left that in the past. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I really, really do. But I can see him saying, okay, this is the band's final tour. I can see Richie popping in for a show or two, or maybe just doing a few songs. But I do think that is behind. I think Richie is out.
I think it would be magical if Richie turned up towards the end of the final leg, and as the stage is dark, the smoke is coming up. Mm-hmm. You got David on the keyboards just doing a little drum. Yeah. And that little acoustic starts. I think it would be, the crowd would go mad if he came out with a double neck guitar with his cowboy hat on and did White Dead or Alive, as a finale. Like when there was inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Alec John Such, Richard Sambora, along with Phil X, and everyone else, was there. For me, that was just brilliant to see. It's the old Bon Jovi along with the new Bon Jovi, merged, and to me, I just think that was just wonderful to see.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wonderful to see.
Yeah, and all the diehards, I was really looking forward to seeing Alec back in the band for a night. That was the highlight for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to conclude this, if Richie did come back, it would be a huge. It would sell out all the shows, because a lot of people want to see Richie back, but don't get rid of Phil, because Phil definitely deserves a place with the band.
Definitely not with Phil.
That might not be a spotlight that Richie wants to share, though. but Phil's earned his right to be on that stage, and John's definitely not going to kick him off.
Definitely not.
So if Richie was to come back, he's going to have to learn to share. Now, obviously, there's respect and admiration from Phil to Richie. So, Richie's going to have that leeway, but it would definitely help with sales and really sell out a tour. Even if it was truly the band announced, okay, this is our final tour, Richie's joining, it's definitely going to sell because you got two big things: the last tour and Richie, and it's not going to be what other bands do when they're doing their fifth final tour. Once John says this is the end of touring, that's it. I believe that. But like I said, I still see them doing stuff. I can already picture the same interview over and over and over. John says it's not the end of the band, it's the end of world touring.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Next year's going to be a very, very exciting year. I'm looking forward to it.
And like you say as well, residencies, little intimate shows, I think will carry on. I think they'll carry on. I think you'll have to drag the stage, John. I think he'll die on stage. That guy. I think he's just got that work ethic.
Yeah, you got to think too. Imagine being in their shoes and thinking, okay, we've made it 40 years, and being in one of the biggest rock and roll bands of all time, thinking of what you've accomplished that not many other people get to accomplish. John doesn't take that lightly, and so you have to know when that moment is right. And it may be a long time before we even see the end. And I hope we get more and more great years of tours and albums and stuff. But John has to be at that point where he goes, okay, this is the end. This is, it's hard to put that legacy down and stop. Bon Jovi as an organization. Obviously the legacy is always going to continue on. And,
yeah. It upset me really because obviously, like you was there in the 2020 concerts. Like you say, you went to 3 or 4 of them. Obviously didn't come to the UK. I certainly didn't have the chance to fly over to America to go and watch it. But it upset me though about the comments that was coming across from the
concert. Gosh, yeah.
About his voice and whatnot. But like you were there. You was in the stadium. You was listening to it. Like, what was your thoughts?
I am supportive. They're my favorite band, and obviously he's not going to sound like he did back in 1986. I thought he sounded great. I really did. Obviously, yeah, there was times where he struggled, but that could have been because of the pandemic. As you get older, your vocal cords tighten and it's hard to sing. And there's a lot of health related things that go into it. You can't, being able to get out there and play guitar or the drums, that's just in your muscle memory. But when you're singing, that it's honestly probably the toughest job in a band is being able to sing and perform at the same time, night after night. For example, you and I go to a show tonight. We're going to sing our heads off, and our voices are going to be so sore tonight and tomorrow. Just think John has to go and do that tomorrow. So my whole stance is I still think John sounds great. And all that I'm thankful for is still being able to see my favorite band and being able to still see songs that I love. I'll give another good example. This last tour, I've been going to see them every tour multiple times since Crush. This last tour, I met a 15, 16-year-old girl with her dad. And she was she told me how much she loves the band and she knew the deep tracks, outtakes. She was definitely a hardcore fan. She's never seen them, she's never met them, and she was just so excited to be there. And she goes, there's so many hateful comments online, and so I'm nervous about this show. And I said, you are about to see your favorite band for the first time. That's what matters. And I remember watching her face as the band took the stage, and she had tears streaming down her face. And I thought to myself right there, that is what matters. Yeah. You don't go to a show and critique. You just go to the show and enjoy it. And, there's a thing people will preach that they can't do. Okay, so you have all these people, especially the critics for all these magazines, internet, YouTubers, who will critique John and say, "Oh, he sounds terrible." Well, are you a singer? Do you have the career that he has? You know, and you got to think too. Back when he was young, the continuous touring night out, especially the Slippery New Jersey tour where he was doing steroids.
He was, yeah.
Yeah. As you get older, your vocals change, health changes, and it's harder to sing. And I'll leave it at this. I saw them in Pittsburgh 2017. And John came out on stage. They did about 3 or 4 songs, and then John stopped the show, or in between songs, he said that he was very sorry that he sounds like garbage tonight because he's sick. And you couldn't tell. I was just having a good time and singing along. I couldn't tell. And then he did about 2 more. It was hard for him to sing because he was sick. He had a bad head cold. And then I could tell. And then he goes, "I'm sorry, guys. I tried my best. I'm going to have to leave you with this one." And then David sang "Living on a Prayer" and stopped. And then so it was an 8-song show. I left there still happy, and I heard others complaining and saying it wasn't fair, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's my point of view on that. We got to see a unique show where, obviously I don't like to see John sick, but how many shows can you say, "Oh, John was sick at our show but still performed"? Gotten to see David sing "Living on a Prayer." Okay, that's great. And then thirdly, for people that traveled, what would you'd get to the venue and then cancel the show, and so at least you got to see the band take the stage for a little bit. John gave his all. That's all I asked for. As long as John is standing there trying, that's all I care about. It's not like he's not trying to sing. He's not doing lip sync, anything like that. He is performing, and he is still the most amazing performer that's ever lived. And I don't say that because it's my favorite band. I truly mean that.
Oh, absolutely. And what is it that Tico says about looking at his ass for the past 40 years?
Yeah. But before we conclude, what's your opinion?
Well, of John, of the band, of Future?
Of John's voice.
John's voice. Well, I could only hear, obviously, of the recordings. Like I say, that's why I was interested in your opinion, because you were there. Obviously, so me personally, I enjoy the shows. Of what I saw, it upset me that there was a lot of negativity.
Yeah.
I think you've knocked the nail on top of the head about the Pittsburgh story. About when he was ill on stage and he said, "Listen, I've got to cut this short." Yes, there is a change. It does sound a little bit different, but I think the heart and the energy is still there. And I do feel, obviously, like you say, as age plays a part, he wasn't very well during the pandemic.
Yeah, and he had COVID. I have a bunch of friends. Sorry to interrupt you. I have a few friends right now who have had COVID, and they still have lingering symptoms. They're always coughing, they're having trouble breathe.
Yep.
So COVID is a respiratory illness. John had it, so I'm sure he was still, you got to think that was only 6-7 months before the tour that he had COVID. So, like I said, there's nothing like seeing your favorite band on stage, and that's all that matters to me.
And that is right, and that is the right attitude to have, Yeah. But as my daughters would say to me, the haters will hate. Well, you know what? They can hate all they want. At the end of the day, I think fans, true diehard fans like ourselves, easily outweigh them.
Yeah. Look at all the other incredible singers that are out there or were out there. You have Paul Stanley from Kiss.
Brilliant. Seeing him live, saw Kiss. Brilliant.
I'm not a fan of Axl Rose, but I'll use Axl Rose as an example. The late Meatloaf, Bret Michaels, Joe Elliott, Vince Neil. Even Joan Jett and just all these other great artists, they don't sing like they used to. They still, have trouble singing, but they still play, and it's great to still see them.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at this. I think, and I will stand by this. I still think John is an incredible singer. I absolutely 100% do. I was still impressed with him on this last tour, and that's it. People
Absolutely.
don't like to listen to something, don't listen to it.
Exactly, absolutely. But I think there's not one particular album I don't like. There's one, well, there's not one particular, concert I haven't enjoyed. I've always come out thoroughly enjoyed it. And pardon the way I describe it, but buzzing from it. Is an absolute total joy to see that band live. And I was going to say, for anyone, if you ever get the opportunity to watch Bon Jovi live, do.
Yep. There's nothing like it.
There is absolutely nothing like it, my friend. Absolutely nothing. It's electric,
Absolutely.
And it brings 70,000 fans together in the same arena, one night, magic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, buddy, it was great chatting with you. I absolutely had a blast talking with you about, and I know we could talk hours and hours and hours worth. But I want to thank you for coming on, and especially being so late. And to me, 10:30, 11:30 o'clock at night is pretty late for me. So you're just sleeping by then. But I hope you stay safe, and I hope to see you at some point at a show.
Excellent, Jerry. Thank you very much. You take care, my friend.
All right. Thanks, bud. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.